I probably could have been more precise in that little discussion, but I think the point is made. Liberal media did what Donald Trump wanted them to do because they didn't realize that when he's having a rally and he's saying absurd things, that he wants them to show it around the world nationally. Of course he did. And you idiots went along and gave it to him. Oh, well, it's news. No, it wasn't. It wasn't news. There were so many things you could have done other than show him be outrageous. And by showing him being outrageous was a cakewalk for him. And Democrats, you just ignored areas that you shouldn't have ignored. It's that simple, and you knew it. By the time you realized it was too late, you couldn't do anything about it. So now let's fast forward to 2018. Ironically, Democrats, you have momentum, not really for anything you specifically did, but because people started getting pissed. And they realized that they couldn't look to the Republicans to help because the Republicans were going to kiss and climb up in the Donnie's rear end as far as they could because they had somebody who would either be so outrageous that they would be the middle of the news cycle, and so nobody would pay attention to what the Republicans were doing to us in Congress. And of course, they're screwing us over. And so they didn't care. They didn't care if he committed treason. They didn't care if he was breaking the law. They're going to find him guilty and if he's impeached because they're getting to do what they want to do. Well, there's a couple of good news items from this last election. The House controls the money, but the Senate controls appointments. So it's a bit of a two-edged sword. You should have won both. And why didn't you? Well, let's revisit it, shall we? Towards the end, last couple of months, when Donnie is running around hitting all of these places where he's holding rallies, not in big, huge places, but places that'll fill up, places that'll provide him enough full seats or few empty seats so that cameras can pan around and you can see all 8,000 or 12,000 or how many other people there are. There certainly weren't 100,000 people in Texas. And he was having full-blown rallies. So you'll forgive me here. Where the fuck were you, Democrats? Where were the Democrat superstars? Where were the people who should have been holding rallies? Oprah Winfrey, it's great you went to Georgia. Why the hell didn't you go to Georgia a month sooner? Barack Obama, why weren't you in Georgia a month sooner? Why weren't you having rallies? Why weren't you showing up in those states? Without any huge financial benefit, Beto O'Rourke was kicking Cruz's ass. You didn't need huge amounts of money. You needed people. You needed people that people would cheer for. You needed people who would applaud. You needed to show huge crowds showing up for Beto. And you needed to make sure voting machines were working. You needed to make sure that precincts were properly set up. You needed to do all of that stuff. And the close races that you lost, once again, Donald Trump went and had rallies, and the media was there. He was putting out propaganda and you were selling his message. Every time he publicly opened his mouth, you were there with your cameras to show the stupidity and the ignorance. And you were taking local shows and you were making them national. And then you were using nighttime comedians who aren't watched by conservatives or middle of the road or non-voters or whatever, but who are watched by, they're playing to the choir. David Marr, sorry about that, Bill Maher's playing to the choir. He's got an audience full of people. And they're cheering, and that's great. But instead of hundreds of people cheering, you needed to have thousands. You needed to have people in places where the crowds were. You needed to motivate them where the crowds were. And you weren't doing it. The Democrats weren't doing that, and the liberal media wasn't putting it on. You know, every time Donald Trump tweeted something, you put it out there. Does he have 1 million, 2 million listeners? I don't know, watchers or twits? I don't know, it doesn't matter. The point is, you turned him into national. He said this outrageous thing. Of course he did. He's not hiding it. It isn't a secret. And you increased the number of people he was reaching. Stop doing it. It isn't news. It's propaganda. He tries to do something stupid. Every time he said something about a caravan, you saw a picture of Donald Trump talking about it. Instead of that, have a picture of the real people in the caravan. Show the women, show the children, show what the hell they're trying to do. Tell their story. Every time Donald does a stupid thing, talks stupid about something, show the reality. You know, give himself an A+ for what happened in the Caribbean to Puerto Rico. Go to the Caribbean, go to Puerto Rico, and take those words and then show the truth. You have to show the truth. You can't just tell it. And you can't show his picture and say he's an idiot. What you have to do is show why he's an idiot. In 2 years, either Donald Trump's resigned. Of course, I'll tell you, if he resigns, he'll probably try and run again. Because if he's impeached, then he's in jail. I don't think he'll do that. But you'd better start grabbing some Republican congressmen, old Republican congressmen, by the fuzzy white hairs on their ball sacks and yanking them. You need to start telling them that you're going to start coming after them too. And liberal media, your job, tell the fucking truth. Stop playing the propaganda role. I don't give a shit what Fox News has to say. Only people that do are the people that watch Fox News, and they're so far up Donald Trump's butt, God, they can't see daylight. Well, I overwent my time. Big time here. God, 9 minutes, shit. Okay, that's it for this series. God knows what I'll talk about on the next one. But if you get through all this, hey, leave comments. I'm Gene Poschman, and that's my rant. All 4 or 5 videos. Good night.